Lo logramos de nuevo. Verizon fue nombrada por RootMetrics como la red más confiable del país y nuestros clientes nos calificaron como número 1 en calidad entre todas las redes del país según J.D. Power. Número 1 en confiabilidad 16 veces consecutivas. La red más premiada en calidad 27 veces consecutivas, demostrando una vez más que nadie diseña redes como Verizon. Por eso diseñamos 5G como debe ser. Por eso, mejor red hay solo una.
Welcome to this Paley Center Hispanic Heritage Month conversation with the team behind Telemundo's highly anticipated Malverde, el Santo Patrón. This program is part of the Paley Center's Hispanic Heritage Month celebration, a salute to Hispanic achievements in television. Throughout Hispanic Heritage Month, the Paley Center is recognizing many of the most important and influential icons, milestones, and achievements in the 8 decades of television history. We would like to thank our official sponsor, Verizon, for their generous support. I'm Marcela Isaza, journalist for the Associated Press. I'm pleased to be joined today by Isabella Castillo. She plays China Navajas. Hello, Isabella.
Hello.
Also with us, we have the star of this series, Pedro Fernández. He stars as Jesús Malverde. Hola, Pedro.
Hola, ¿cómo estás, Marcela?
Muy bien, ¿cómo estás?
Bien, muy contento.
And also joining us today is Carolina Miranda. She stars in the series as Isabel Aguilar.
Hello everybody. Hola, ¿cómo están?
Also with us is Mark Tacher. He stars in the series as Vicente del Rio. Hello, Mark.
Hi, how are you, Marcela? Hi, how are you, everyone?
How are you
It's always
today?
a pleasure. Fine, thank you very much.
And also we have with us the president of Telemundo Global Studios, Marcos Santana. Hello, Marcos.
Hello, Marcela, nice to see you.
Great to have you here with us. And welcome to everyone watching. And please don't forget to subscribe to the Paley Center YouTube channel, link below. We're going to start with El Jefe. We're going to be starting with the boss today, Marcos. He also serves as one of the show's executive producers. So this series it's the first period super series that Telemundo has produced. And the attention to the wardrobe and the scenery and the detail in the landscape where everything is shot is just amazing. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how this was created, because remember, we're going all the way back to 1910. So tell us a little bit about how this was created and why Telemundo has decided to tell the story of this mysterious and legendary character. Why is he important?
Thank you. First of all, it's an honor to be here and share with my colleagues and to you, Marcela, because you are a magnificent journalist, and Paley's is the most important event. And thank you for the support, for the Latin content always, and appreciate. And I need to clarify something. I know the boss is Malverde, it's Pedro Fernández. Marcela, this is a really special story for me and for the company, for the NBC Universal Telemundo Enterprises. This is a story born about 5 years ago. Luis Elkovich, the creator and writer of this magnificent story, told me that he had this idea in his head, and immediately told him that saying it like amazing idea. And at that time, Luis was just beginning to write the 6th season of the El Señor de los Cielos. After that comes season 7, and we postponed Malverde. But we never stuck in the process of the development and talk about ideas. It was a long way to arrive to the production. Luis, together with a great team, developed and wrote this wonderful story, Marcela. Malverde, el Santo Patrón, relate that you said that never told a story of the legendary, although known as the Mexican Robin Hood, one of the biggest and most controversial Mexican character of the last 150 years. Although ultimately became a legendary figure, religious icon and protector of the innocent, poor, and dispossessed. One of Telemundo's most ambitious production, Marcela, today, the groundbreaking period super series. Malverde is not a narco series. Malverde is another thing. This is the story of the man behind the legend and how the ended up become such a legend.
Amazing. Okay, so now then the show's jefe, Pedro. The show's jefe, Pedro, who stars as Jesús Malverde. I will also add, for those who are watching and are not aware, Pedro is also a very famous regional Mexican singer. He's won multiple Latin Grammys. He's done acting before, and now he is starring in this series. So he's very recognizable to many Latin people, for sure. So Pedro, in this series, we see you as we've never seen you before. How was the experience of bringing such an iconic character to life? En esta serie, Pedro, te vemos como nunca te hemos visto antes. ¿Cómo ha sido esta experiencia de dar vida a un personaje tan icónico?
Gracias, Marcela. La verdad es que para mí ha sido una experiencia maravillosa. Es una experiencia que aún sigo disfrutando y que seguiré disfrutando por el resto de mi vida, porque darle vida a un personaje legendario tan importante como Malverde, con toda la historia que se está contando, una historia, la verdad es que maravillosa, particularmente y especialmente para mí ha sido una experiencia entretenida, divertida, de mucho trabajo, de mucha dedicación, de mucho esfuerzo de diferentes maneras, ¿no? Físicamente, mentalmente, actoralmente, por supuesto, de todas las formas. Creo que ha sido un trabajo extraordinario y la experiencia ha sido maravillosa. Ojalá que el público la disfrute mucho, porque realmente nosotros, todos los que participamos, todos los que estamos involucrados en este proyecto, hemos puesto todo lo que está de nuestra parte para que el público lo disfrute y sea una serie muy exitosa. Y bueno, vamos a ver qué pasa, que ya está muy cerca el estreno ahora el próximo 28 de septiembre y ya estoy ansioso por ver qué va a ocurrir.
Gracias, Pedro. He said that it's been a very wonderful experience to play such a legendary character. It's also been very entertaining for him, but also it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work for him mentally. It was a lot of work for him physically. But overall, he hopes that audiences are going to enjoy this series tremendously, and he cannot wait to share it with the world. Pedro, I have another question for you. So how do you identify with your character? Do you also have a Robin Hood-like spirit? ¿Cómo te identificas con tu personaje? ¿También tienes un espíritu de Robin Hood?
No lo sé, puede ser. Puede ser un poco. La verdad es que, a ver, Malverde simple y sencillamente fue y en la práctica y en su vida un personaje maravilloso, un personaje mágico, un personaje enigmático, un personaje generoso, un personaje que constantemente buscaba el bienestar y la protección de su tierra, de los pobres, de los campesinos, de la gente, de su tribu indígena, Yoreme. Yo me identifico de muchas maneras con él, por supuesto, pero obviamente la dimensión es completamente distinta, ¿no? La dimensión en la que se encontraba Malverde era otra cosa, era otra historia. No por nada se ha convertido en una leyenda con el paso de los años y de tantos años después que estemos hablando de Malverde y que se esté haciendo un proyecto y se esté realizando una historia tan maravillosa, tan bien contada, tan bien realizada, con una gran producción. Pues no es por nada, simple y sencillamente estamos hablando de un personaje legendario, y por supuesto que sí hay algunas cosas con las que me identifico, y eso de alguna manera me ayudó muchísimo a darle un poco mejor los matices y algunas otras cosas del personaje a Malverde, por supuesto, ¿no? Tratando de hacer lo mejor posible ese personaje que no hemos visto nunca y que ahora lo vamos a conocer en esta historia, ¿no?
He said he's not sure if maybe he also has the same Robin Hood spirit that Malverde has, but he knows that Malverde is, he's a great iconic character. He's magic, he's generous, he's always looking to protect his people, the land, the community. Pedro's life and Malverde's life have totally different dimensions, but he says that it says a lot that Telemundo is investing in such a project like this to bring this iconic character's life to the big screen. And so, he's looking forward for audiences to check it out. I want to move on and ask a question now to Carolina. Carolina stars as Isabel Aguilar again. And, Carolina, from the very first episode, we see that your character, Isabel, is very conflicted. Her feelings towards Malverde it's like she goes between loving and hating him at the same time. What role does this relationship play as the series and story develops?
Yeah, Isabel, it's a very great character because I love she's a very strong woman, very powerful woman too. And she's looking always about the justice. It's very important, this character in the life of Malverde, because they fell in love when they was kids, so it's very complicated because we're talking about a period piece that it's on the 1910. So it's very important for the women to be like quiet and be educated with their husband, in this case, Tacher, Vicente. So it's very difficult to Isabel to fall in love with another man that it's not her husband. But you're going to see a very big history of love and romantic scenes and drama scenes that I really hope you enjoy it, because we do it with the heart.
Thank you, Carolina. You bring up a very good point. It's the 1910, but we're here on this panel. We have two very strong women in this series, and they're strong in different ways, but I love that. Carolina, yes. Carolina, also share with us some of the movie magic that took place on set, from the design to the wardrobe. I mean, the wardrobes were just spectacular.
My God, it's amazing. I'm very grateful because to be part of this history, it's very important for my career. So being part of this history and put 1 foot over the set and feel this magic and see these sets, these big costumes that are awesome, that you are like in another kind of history and in another kind of life. I enjoy it very much, and I feel like, I don't know, like in a dream to being interpreted in this history with Isabel.
For sure. So now moving on to the series' husband, Mark Tacher, who stars as Vicente del Rio. Hello, Mark.
Hi, how are you? I was just hearing Carolina, and I was saying, what about me?
I love you, Vicente.
Ladies first. Mark, your character, Vicente del Rio, seems to be a serious man, even a bit unyielding. Who is Vicente in Malverde's life, or vice versa?
Oh, nice. Well put. Well, I think, Vicente, it's a very serious guy, a very determined guy. I think he's a guy that knows what he wants in life. And he comes to Mexico from the United States. He was born in the United States and comes to Mexico because of its riches. And it's well known that in the beginnings of the 20th century, Mexico was full of silver and gold in the north. And the mining was the most the job that was the most common in the North. So that's why Vicente comes to Mexico, but he didn't know that he was going to fall in love with this beautiful woman, Isabel Aguilar, and realized that he wanted to make a family also here in Mexico. So he began in that journey to do it. And after 10 years of a beautiful relation, the shadow of that old love appears in our lives and starts to make a turmoil in our relation. And it's the shadow of Malverde, the one and only love of Isabel Aguilar since they were kids. So this journey begins with Vicente and Isabel having this kind of problems because the appearance of Malverde once again. And the relation starts flowing in that also love and hate, but also this commitment in life, because as in every family, they have their secrets. And that's the ones that we want to share to everybody once this series starts, because since the beginning, you will feel the temperature of all these three characters, Malverde, Vicente, and Isabel. You will feel the temperature, and it's really high. I think Malverde for Vicente is the one that really withholds the commitment of having a family in Mexico with Isabel. And Vicente to Malverde, I think he's one of the purposes of why Malverde becomes an outlaw and why he wants to bring to the people what they deserve.
Dun, dun, dun. That's a cliffhanger. That's a cliffhanger.
I love it.
Do you need dramatic music?
Yeah. I even have the sound effects. So, Mark, what was it like to portray this character, from the 1900s, living in this iconic city of San Blas de Vaca? How did you prepare for this role?
Well, it was a dream. I can tell you that. It was a dream. I think everything that Telemundo did to produce this project after all those years that Marcos was talking about and bring it to life with this quality, with this performance, with this production levels, that they are raising the stakes really high for production levels after making this beautiful period piece, because we're talking about a century ago. We're not talking about, 40, 50 years ago. We're talking about a century ago. So you will see the Mexico of that period, when it was a pre-revolutionary period where everybody were like really fighting against the system. And then this heroes appears like Malverde supporting these guys. For me, it was a dream to live in that beautiful backlot that Telemundo built. I don't know how many thousands of square foot they were, but it was beautiful. It had interiors, it had exteriors. You could shoot in by night, in the morning, in the evening. It was amazing. All the stuff, all the toys that Telemundo lends us to make all this dream happen, because it was amazing with all the directors, what they did with all that stuff that they had. I think when you see that first episode, you will feel the same as me, speechless, because you won't find a way to compare a story like this with anything right now on the television. I think the Latinx community has to be proud of making this kind of projects with this kind of powerful characters, men and women having their thoughts, being human, and telling stories that also may merged with history itself. So it's really amazing what Telemundo did.
Oh, absolutely. And now I have a couple questions for Isabella Castillo, who stars as La China Navajas. And I just want to say something about the character's name, just to explain. So her nickname comes from the Spanish term China, which is for somebody with curly hair. As you can see her beautiful curly hair that she has. and navajas for the daggers that she carries. So Isabella, I loved your character.
Really?
This extremely powerful woman is living in this world led by men. She doesn't care. She is a complete
rebel.
But she's way ahead of her time as well, and she's full of valor. Tell us how you prepared to bring China Navajas to life.
I mean, I love portraying these strong female characters. I love choosing these roles that break the stereotypes of what women are supposed to be. You know, a typical women, especially in the 1910. I mean, come on, you know, Latina Navajas was way, way ahead of her time. And I mean, for me, it was obviously an honor to be able to play Latina Navajas, because even though it's not an actual character in real life, you know, it's not a person in real life. It's a character based on all of the soldaderas that contributed and helped win the Mexican Revolution, you know, and they're not, and I always say this in every interview, and it's just because it's something that while I was doing the research for Latina Navajas and for all these strong women in that era, I realized that they weren't mentioned so much. And I also realized that without them, the Mexican Revolution wouldn't have been the Mexican Revolution. So for me, it was obviously an honor to be able to portray a character like this. And she's a very strong woman. Like, she doesn't care. And her way of earning the respect of men, especially in that era where women were only an object pretty much, or were only made for cooking and breeding pretty much, right? It has a lot to say of her, and she earned her respect by who she is, by her personality. She was always very true to herself. She's a really honest person. You know, she's a hothead. She's a little impulsive, but she was definitely a lot of fun to play. Preparing for her was not easy. Not only did I have to do a lot of research. I mean, I'm Cuban, I'm not Mexican. So also a huge weight on my shoulders. You know, I didn't want to let down all the Mexican audience, you know, like, putting all the responsibility on me to represent, you know, the female fighters in the Mexican Revolution, but I'm Cuban, you know? So I did have to do a lot of research. I think all of us, we had like 2 months of preparation for horseback riding. I guess we can say that we're all equestrians now. Am I correct, fellow coworkers? And I'm really bad at aiming. I've never been good at aiming. And Latina, she's, you know, with her daggers, she needs to have really good aim. So it was like 2 months, like every day I would be like throwing daggers in the middle of nowhere, preparing for the role. But it was a lot of fun. And I think all of us, we all poured our hearts out into this project and into our roles. And I hope that you guys can really enjoy it. And I hope you guys can have fun with Latina just like I did.
For sure. Tell us a little bit, what does China Navajas represent in Malverde's life?
Well, I think, you know, I've gotten asked this question, and I always toss it out to Pedrito. I'm always like, what is Latina for you? I don't know what Latina is exactly for him, but I do know what he is for me. Latina was a girl who became an orphan pretty much without a family. They murdered her whole entire family. And when she meets Malverde, you know, they form like a wolf pack pretty much, you know, where it's like a brotherhood, you know, and he comes and rescues her, and not only her, Nazario as well. And we end up forming like a family, you know, where it's like, she will kill if anyone does anything to him, you know, like she's very loyal to him, very loyal to their cause. You know, we're talking about a dictatorship, right? And yes, they did have to break the law, but sometimes you do have to break the law. I'm not encouraging people to break the law. I'm just saying, you know, in this specific case, in that era, you know, it was very difficult. The government would abuse the people, and they had a cause, and their cause was to help not only the poor, everyone, you know. and to be there for people. And La China respected that always and was pro for justice. And Malverde is like her idol and her brother and her everything.
Thank you for that. Now I just want to open it to anybody who wants to jump in and answer these questions. I want to know about the importance. You've all touched on it a little bit already, but I really want to dive a little bit deeper into the importance of portraying a well-known person and telling this story. Why is this personally important to each one of you? Who would like to start?
I think
Mark,
I'm going to raise my hand.
Mark, you're the one that gives like the best speeches. Come on.
Okay, Mark, kick it off.
Sound proud.
There it is. Your hand is raised. I did it. So, yeah, I think it's very important because these kind of characters are not. We in Mexico we are not educated about this kind of outlaws, about this kind of heroes. You know, we do not know anything about them. We know everything of the heroes that won the Revolution War. We know those kind of stories that they tell us like all the time, but we don't know all the branches that this cause meant for the Mexicans in the beginning of the 20th century after a 30-year dictatorship, as Isabella was saying. So it's really important to bring alive this kind of persons that brought the best on people, so people can recognize their heroes as they were fighting, as they were thinking, as they were trying to make things better. So I think that's why it's really important to dig into history and bring this entertainment kind of projects to the people, so they will begin through entertainment to start and looking through these kind of characters of history itself.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm sorry.
No. Please say
No. I think that everybody wants to know the history about Malverde. Who is he? What he do? You know, because it's a legend. So it's the Mexican Robin Hood, and it's very important for our history. Of course, if we are Mexicans, it's like kind of hero, like Mark says. So everybody wants to know the history, the back history of Malverde. So how he became a legend and a grand hero, a big hero for Mexican people. So I love it. And to discover all the characters around him, it's also very important to know.
I'm going to bring Pedro back in here for a second. Pedro, why is the story of Malverde important to Mexican history? Pedro, ¿por qué la historia de Malverde es importante para la historia de México?
Es muy importante, muy, muy importante. Las razones, bueno, hay muchísimas razones. La principal es todo lo que él tuvo que ver entre 1870 y 1910. Desarrolló una serie de actividades importantes que lo hicieron un hombre reconocido, un hombre que por encima de todo lo demás estaba siempre pendiente de lo que mencioné hace un rato, de estar protegiendo permanentemente a su familia, a su gente, a la gente que quería, a sus hermanos, obviamente a la gente del pueblo. Pero yo creo que la importancia de Malverde ha ido creciendo y va más allá cada vez más, porque el haber descubierto o el haber heredado la habilidad de curar con las hierbas lo convierte en un santo para mucha gente, lo convierte en alguien milagroso. Y de ahí entonces se empieza a escribir una historia, una leyenda, ¿no? Un personaje que ciertamente no es un santo por ser un santo canonizado por la Iglesia Católica, sino por esta razón que te acabo de mencionar, Marcela. Y el patrón, pues seguramente tiene que ver con la idea tan clara que tenía él de defender, ¿no? De buscar a toda costa la justicia y obviamente de no permitir que nada ni nadie pasara por encima de su pueblo ni de su gente, mucho menos de la gente que pues económicamente no podía, ¿no? Evidentemente era la parte más vulnerable del pueblo, pero era lo que más defendía y lo que más cuidaba. Ahorita que estaban hablando y que constantemente decimos que es un Robin Hood mexicano, sí creo que esta parte también tiene mucho que ver porque él todo lo que les quitaba a las personas, a los hacendados, empoderados y demás, no se los quitaba para él, era una forma de recuperar lo mucho que le habían quitado a su propia gente, al pueblo, ¿no? Entonces se los quitaba para regresárselos, no para enriquecerse él ni nada por el estilo. Entonces creo que la generosidad del personaje, la generosidad de Jesús Juárez, de Jesús Malverde, es una de las razones por las que se ha convertido también, obviamente, en un personaje importante en la historia de México, y también por los encuentros y por la década en la que se dio todo esto, tal vez la década más importante de su vida, que está conjuntamente con la Revolución Mexicana en ese entonces, ¿no?
Muchas gracias. So Pedro was just explaining that between 1870 and 1910, he became famous for, protecting his family, his community, his loved ones. But as the story goes on, he also develops this ability to cure people with herbs. And so he becomes kind of like this miracle worker. But really, most importantly, overall, he's a defender of justice. He becomes the voice for the voiceless. He is the Mexican Robin Hood, but he's not taking anything for himself. He's taking and he's giving it back to the people that he loves the most. So, gracias, Pedro.
De nada, gracias a ti, Marcela.
So the other thing I wanted to talk about was the scale and the atmosphere and how this impacted filming. So I want to start with one of the actors to tell me how the atmosphere, the costumes, everything helped with the storyline. And then I also want to bring Marcos into it so he can tell me also how difficult it was to pull something like this off. Because, no cell phones anywhere on the set, no, anything that we're used to right now, right? So who wants to jump in there first? Isabella?
I mean, it wasn't so hard. It wasn't really hard. Well, I think for any actor, the character design is very important, right? It adds a huge part of your job and makes it much easier. But in this case, it was highly important because we're talking about a period piece. We're not talking about 2021. It was difficult in the sense of, yes, and I think more for Caro maybe, because she had to wear like the corsets and all those dresses. Yeah. My clothes was more like chill. it was more comfortable. But even then, the chaps, the boots, the guns, the daggers, it was really, really, really heavy. And I think the art department did an amazing, truly amazing job. They invested so much in the detailing, not only of the clothes, but of the hair, of the makeup, of the sets, of everything. And it was like you would just walk in the set, and you would feel that you were already in 1910. It was truly, truly amazing. And we actually filmed it like an American Western, which is nice because we're proving to people that Latinos can do whatever we want, once again. And it was really fun, and it was amazing. Like, really, congrats to the art department. And I remember, I would look at all the girls and be like, "Oh my God, I'm so glad I'm not in this position right now."
I remember this part that Isabel is talking about, the always in customs. So really, it was like a kind of dream, but Isabel told us that it's very difficult with the corset. And I remember the first day that I go to the set to film this thing and they put me the corset on, and then they put me all the dress of Isabel, my character. And I only think about, oh my God, I'm not going to, I can't film this TV show because I can't breathe and I can't say my lines. So how can I do to act like this? And the other thing complicated was the emotions. how can I cry in a scene, because it's very important to cry and it's a very dramatic scene and I don't have, I can't breathe. So it was very difficult, but there was amazing costumes and you feel like a dream and you feel like a princess and you move in another way, you know. So the designers were really great in this TV show.
And it was, everything was real. Like most of the things were real. Like most of us did our own stunts with our horses and our own action scenes. And we actually filmed in a place here in Mexico called El Ajusco. Right. So we had no signal, you know. It's not like you could be in your phone because you literally just had no signal on your phone. There were snakes, you know, like we would film in a pretty honest to the era conditions, which made it even better, right? But it was kind of tough.
Marcos, how difficult was all of this?
Wow. Don't forget about something. This was an enormous production in the middle of the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget about that. In this production, unfortunately, I was accompanied by three amazing directors. Mr. Carlos Volado, Sergio Osorio, and Miguel Baroni. In art design, like Isabella mentioned, Valeria Fiñana. In production, Karen Barroeta and David Posada. The costume design, the sets, the town we built, everything was carefully thought out. Telemundo built, like mentioned Mark, an impressive 215,000 square foot backlog on a Mexican national park, Marcela, Cumbres del Ajusco, to accurately recreate the early 19th war of the legendary character. But I mentioned something in production, the music. Malverde's music is something exceptional. All the sound design was worked by the great group of musicians and the head of Pieter Schlosser. It's a great Hollywood composer who has made great movies and series like the Transformers, Desperate Housewife, and another big shows. We also work with the Los Angeles Symphony Orchestra, an important musician incorporating a traditional instrument from Mexico. I talked with my friend Pedro last Sunday about the last details, and we are very proud of the music of the series. I need to add something, Marcela, diversity. In this series, we incorporate diversity and inclusion, where despite being vintage period, like mentioned Isabel, and we have an important super plot of lesbian. We have Indians, from Sinaloa, the Yoremis, like mentioned Pedro, and actors of color, etc., etc. And of course, and my gratitude for the casting. We have an exceptional cast in addition of these magnificent actors and actresses who you present today, Marcela, Carolina Miranda. Carolina is amazing. I think that she's one of the most important actresses right now, and in the Hispanic market around the world. Isabella Miranda, who did a great job, and they knew to draw the character very well. Isabella Castillo. Isabella Castillo is like my musa. I were dealing with a special series and the 6 years ago, El Recluso. Do you remember, Isabella?
That was 6 years ago?
Yeah. And now La China Navaja and Malverde, who also demonstrated once again who good and a versatile actress, and she is. Mark Tacher. Mark Tacher is a big actor. I think is is another, I don't know, I think we worked together in 6, 7 projects, something like that. And Mark always come and reinvent. He have the character actor. It's just unbelievable. Admiro mucho, Mark.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Pedro Fernández, who gave life to Jesús Malverde. Pedro managed to get into the skin of this legend. I recently told to him, I thought that is an really beginning of I think was Pedro, your best work as an actor. It's very impressive. There were also great actors like Luis Felipe Tovar, El Malvado Quiñones. He's a great actor. Alejandro Nones, Miguel de Miguel, Candela Márquez, Sofía Castro, María del Carmen Félix, Tantán, Ivonne Montero, Mariaca Seprún, el señor Humberto Elizondo, Salvador Sánchez, Alan Slim, and others. It's a very, very particular and special production, Marcela, definitely.
Yes, and the hook has come out now to pull us all off the panel. But just before the hook pulls us all off, Marcos, please tell our audiences when they can start to watch the show, and when will it be, really quick?
Yes, Malverde premieres Tuesday, September 28 at 10 p.m. East on Telemundo. Audience will be able to watch episode live or catch up on the Telemundo app. New episode of Malverde, El Santo Patrón, we also stream the following day on Peacock.
Perfect. Thank you for joining us for the Paley Center's Hispanic History Month conversation. Thanks again for the invaluable support of our official sponsor, Verizon. Don't forget to subscribe to the Paley Center YouTube channel right now. Just click on the subscription button below this video. Be sure to support the Paley Center and consider becoming a Paley member by visiting paleycenter.org.